A tiny, tiny hole. It's like a pinprick.
You're a pinprick.
I'm Max, and this is Sophie, and welcome back to episode 19 of our van build.
And it is the final episode of our plumbing extravaganza. We are finishing with our wastewater. So fingers crossed we don't have any leaks, and it is a fantastic week. Is it Christmas?
Yep, Screwfix Christmas special.
Wow.
Big bag of stuff and things. Sophie, guess what's finally arrived after being delayed in the Christmas post?
What? Yay! Let's get these tanks connected!
So we've been waiting for a couple of weeks now for these to arrive to finish off our plumbing system, and they've been delayed in the post. So we've got a couple of 3/4 inch to 12mm barb things to connect our two tanks to each other. Those two are just spares for other parts of the system that we've already used. This is a 10mm T connector to finish off our air system with the outlet valve that we have for our tanks. That will go something like that. And then this is a little externally threaded hose connection for our waste tank tap for when we're draining our tank. It's time to get all that put together. So we are going to add another 10mm T with this kind of motorbike air inlet outlet filter thing to our air line of our two water tanks, just so when we're drawing water out to our pumps, pressure doesn't build up in the top of the tanks in the air. And this is basically just stop any bugs or dirt or anything else getting into the water tanks.
Yeah.
So we're going to start by connecting this T-piece to this air outlet and doing up the Jubilee clip.
The next thing we have to do is fit this into the pipework. So I'm going to be chopping out this cable tie to which is currently holding the pipe, and then basically mangling the pipe so it goes onto this T-piece. Because the air escape can only get out of the filler cap when it's open, this is here to stop that pressure building up. It's all in place now, it looks good, just can't jump on the bed too much. And now our connections have arrived, we can finally plumb in our tanks. So the problem we had before, if you watched our last video, was we had right angle joins that when we put them in, because it's a fixed thread, they were angled all over the place. So these ones are just going to mean it makes our life so much easier, and we can get our tanks connected.
Can you move your head?
I can't see what I'm doing. Be careful not to over tighten. But you get tight enough so they don't leak. The fine line. It feels like some sort of weird challenge in the crystal maze. Go up and over and turn out.
Good job, dude.
And Max has gone to boil the kettle so we can get some hot water, because these pipes have toughened right up. It's proper cold today. So let's get that done. And now that's all done, we're going to move on to our wastewater. Now this is going to be all of the nasty stuff that comes out of our sink and out of our shower. It's going to run down through this cupboard and out underneath our cooker. Because we have a Belfast sink, we've got a special waste which has got a really long thread on it because this is thick. So the water's going to come through there, at the bottom. We've then got, oh, it has a plug as well, a little bouncy up and down plug. We then have the trap. So this is going to trap, as it says in its name, a bit of water in here. It means it, this way, this way. It means it's going to trap some water in here, which means the smells can't come back up from our waste tank. It's just like it would be in a normal household sink. This one's quite shallow though. We then have some connectors. These are going to go in here just to give us a bit more flexibility with where the pipe is going to run, because we're not using flexi hose, we're using proper household plumbing.
40mm waste pipe and connections, compression connections.
So let's pray they don't leak when we're moving.
They won't leak. They don't leak. They can't leak. It's going to be fantastic.
So we don't have a hacksaw. So we're going to go try and cut this pipe on our chop saw. Let's give it a go. Bets on, is this going to work?
Likelihood low. We didn't not cut it. Oh, actually that's alright. Feels pretty good. It's a bit burny melty, but...
That was potentially the most horrible noise I've ever heard in my life though. It like screamed.
Probably not meant to use sandpaper to get rid of swarf, but... Who knows?
It's Christmas Eve, we don't care anymore. We just want to go home.
To be able to perfectly work out this waste plumbing under our sink section, I'm going to go under the van and drop the wastewater tank that we installed when we had the floor up. And once we've got that out, we can work out exactly where we're going to enter through the floor from this down, and also where the shower waste is going to head down towards the waste tank. So that is our waste tank dropped down. So I'm going to move that out the way for now. And if you haven't seen the video of how we have all this framework in place to hold the wastewater tank in, check out on a video up there somewhere. So we have a few different components here that are going to be attached to this waste tank. So we have this level gauge that will be attached in place and then wired up to a control panel section that has a kind of meter in it, so we can see how full the waste tank is. We have a nut-in tank connector that's going to be our outlet for the waste. We've got a little 1/2-inch valve, and then we've got a little kind of push-fit hose connector to attach to that to clip on a hose to drain our water out of the way. So we're going to attach all that onto this tank now. So we're really lucky that our tank came with a hole already in the top. So I'm going to put our level gauge into there. And I've just marked on the top with a Sharpie where the 4 holes are. So I'm going to pilot some very small holes in this and then attach it with these screws that came with it and the washer. And attach that all in place. So there we have our level sender attached, which these 2 cables will run up internally to the van. At which point, somewhere near our gauge, our control panel will have this gauge, which will tell us how full or empty our waste tank is. So that little black kind of plastic bit creates resistance up and down the steel pole within there, and that kind of is what sends the level to the gauge. The next step is to fit this 1/2-inch BSP outlet to this hole that again came in the tank, and we originally plugged up with these 2 plugs because we weren't going to use the outlets. I've left one still plugged up, taken the other one off, and we're going to attach that outlet there. So I'm going to have to wait for Sophie tomorrow because she's got a smaller arm that will fit in there and be able to hold that in place, and we'll get that done up. Once we've got that done up, we'll go attach the valve in the other section. What have we just done?
I had to strip off to get my hand into the tank.
And who forgot to film it?
Not on film. I froze my arm off.
So
but
what
this is now on. So this is good. Which means we can empty our tank and then seal it back up again. So we've been under the van and we bought a new waste for the shower because of how thick it was. It acts a bit more like the one we've got for our sink with a cool little pop-up plug, but it's not going to work. So we need to get back to the original one that we got with the sink, with the shower tray, sorry, and somehow get this to fit in, which means we need to cut out more of the flooring than we originally thought. The hole is already there and the shower tray is now stuck down. So we're gonna have to drill up through the bottom of the van and try not to break the shower tray. Fun and games, huh?
What is it?
It's bodge o'clock, that's what it is. Alright, I'm gonna stand here and hopefully we can use a hole saw up through the bottom of the van and get a hole for our shower waste. Or bigger hole for our shower waste. Who knows?
Right, ready? No, it's not. Cock.
What?
My arbour's not long enough. You ready? Yeah. I'm going to start now. It's not long enough either. Cock. Right, I'll be back in a sec. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay, you can probably get off now. Yeah, and could you move all the wood out of the way?
I'm not saying it on camera.
You're full of snot. So now we've covered ourselves in sawdust and cut that hole. We're going to go on the inside and try and knock it off from the silicone that's on the underside of the shower tray.
And try not to break the shower tray. That is
Number
priority number one right now.
I'd cry.
So the shower waste is in. We went with the original one, so that's good because it means we can save some pennies by taking back the two other ones that we bought. And it worked. It's a miracle. So thanks to Max for getting underneath the van and sawing out the big hole. So let's move on to the waste underneath the sink. So we originally figured out the waste was going to come down here, but we've bought these new cool bendy pipes. So we think we can actually get it to go in here, which is good because it means it won't mess with the back of our oven at all. So let's try and get it down here somewhere. So the best part of the plumbing is that we actually have to have a cup of tea at the end of it. That's part of the rules. Yeah.
The rules.
So we've done our measurements and we can get it through that hole. So we're going to cut into the floor, yam our pipe in, and we've invested in these, some little pipe snugs. So they're going to squish into the hole and help seal it, which is going to be good.
So we've cut our 40mm pipe down to the right size. So that's going to go from the sink trap to this 90-degree piece in the corner here, which is going to go down through the floor through a pipe snug. And we're going to treat that hole with the same paint we've treated the rest of the underside of the van with before we put this in place. And then once we pass through the bottom of the van, we're going to change to this flexible piece, which is going to connect and then go into our tank.
Now the paint is dry, we're gonna get this pipe snug into the hole. It's too close to the side.
Oh, good.
It's fine, Max fixed it.
So it's a bit tight to see, but next we're going to take this pipe, push it down through that hole, do the connections underneath, pull it back up slightly and connect it to this 90-degree piece, and then use the brackets to clamp it in place in various positions.
What you doing?
giving my sealant a warm bath.
Why do we have to do that?
So it'll come out of the tube because it's like freezing.
Actually 0 degrees today, and we cannot use the sealant below 5 degrees.
Yeah, it's not for anything particularly important. We're just gonna put a blob around the pipe snug with the waste pipe going through the floor. So it doesn't need to be like sealed, it's just gonna help what's already there, but it needs to come out of the tube.
So a little warm bath for it is what's happening.
So we're gonna put a ring of sealant around this pipe snug, get it back in position after we dry fitted it already into the hole in the floor there, and then pass the pipe through it. So I'm just gonna cover it in this just to be extra safe.
It smells like salt and vinegar crisps.
You smell like salt and vinegar crisps.
So messy.
No, it's not.
It's everywhere.
That is a work of art.
Oh my god. Max is now wiping silicone away.
Just the excess.
Just the excess. We definitely use too much, as always.
So this is our fixed 40mm pipe that's coming down through the floor, and this is our flexible bit that's going to be under the van to go from this, which just sticks through the floor, into our tank that's about there. It's as easy as that. Hello!
So we've had to pull it all out again. Our upright wasn't quite the right length, which meant this was sitting, give it right way up. This was sitting at too much of an angle. Now we want a bit of runoff, but it was pushing on these joints here, so we're gonna have to redo another piece of pipe. Fun times. It's fine. Piece of pipe, take 2. Are you having fun?
An incomprehensible amount. This is the moment of truth, and we're going to pour some water in our sink and see if it gets to the outside.
Wow, it drained really quickly. So it looks like it's all dry.
It does. Can't feel anything wet, that's for sure. Winner, winner.
Good. What are you doing?
More silicone!
We're getting a bit frustrated with working in the small space. It maybe doesn't bode well.
So now we've got the sink waste in and going to the outside. We're going to get the shower waste to the same point, and then we're going to look at tank connections after that.
So I've just fit the waste into the shower. Pretty simple. And Max is going to show you what he's done outside. Careful not to squish him when I open the door.
So this is the underside of the van and the trap. So the trap does have a base piece on it that I've just unscrewed so I can see what we're doing. So that is the trap kind of in its entirety with the outlet. It's fairly shallow because it's going to sit, our waste tank's going to sit here. So we just need to come out of that outlet and go down into it. And then you can see internal part of that plug. So that silver bit you can see up in there is where Sophie was. And then this is our waste from our sink. So we have our sink and our shower going into our waste tank that's going to be roughly where we are here. Now that we know the water lines from our sink and shower are all set up and working, we need to line up on the waste tank where they're going to drop down into it, cut holes for the pipes to connect onto, and then install the waste tank back up under the van.
and we're trying to decide exactly where the waste lines are going to go into our tank, which is easier said than done because our waste tank has a cool little angle on this end. So we thought it was going to go straight in, but now we're going to have to cut off a bit of the pipe so that the pipe doesn't go back uphill, because no one wants waste flowing uphill, do they, Max?
Definitely not.
That would be weird. So here's the little bendy bit, and the holes need to go here somewhere. So it turns out when we put our unistray in, we actually had it leaning the wrong way. So Max is now trying to lower our sort of braces on one side and then lift them back up on the other side. Why are those easy jobs never easy? Why is that with a van build?
Might not be the van build, it might just be us.
It might very well be us. Next step is going to be drill the holes into the tank after we've been faffing around under the van for about an hour.
But it has to happen.
Annoyed.
I never get annoyed.
He was getting so annoyed.
I don't.
He was calling his hands fat. That's how annoyed he was. Fat hands.
Someone beautifully annotated on here: sink and shower.
And this one?
Air.
And you did all that with your fat hands.
So that. I think they're long enough.
Extendable pipe is great.
So because we have these two different ends on our outlets and they are flexible pipes and extendable pipes that we use, we're actually going to cut both of these off, as we are just going to stick that top bit of pipe into the waste tank. And because it's flexible, it'll be easy to push up into place.
So we're gonna cut a 38mm hole for the 40mm pipe, and then what are we gonna do?
Then we're going to try and line it up and get those pipes pushed through the hole on the waste tank, and then we're going to fit the waste tank up into place.
That's gonna be just as smooth as that.
We're also going to add in a breather line with a bit of an overflow on the tank so we don't back anything up through our shower or sink.
Because that would be disgusting. Oh. Okay.
You want me to do one, you do the next one?
I'll do it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Black and curly.
Now, in all her wisdom, she is going to drill the hole for the shower very similarly to how she drilled the hole for the sink.
Very carefully and with much consideration. Very controlled. I don't think it's as neat as my other one. Our waste tank also comes with a lovely giant hole in the bottom, which is really useful for fitting our level sender, not so useful for holding water. So we're going to use this stuff to... Thanks, Max. We're going to use this stuff to glue this little plug into the hole, and hopefully we'll have a watertight tank. It's like being in school again.
What do you mean?
Like paste. Oh my god, it smells so much. Woo.
You know where I just said, are you hot yet?
Yeah.
And you said no.
Yeah. I've quickly changed my mind.
Yeah.
Squelch.
Now that we have these beautifully cut holes that Sophie did yesterday for the sink and the shower waste, we are going to attach our air breather pipeline, and then we're going to look at sticking this back under the van. So once we stick it under the van, we'll be able to test if our lines down from our shower and sink and also the plugs that we put on the bottom of the tank are all going to work. So fingers crossed. We're going to push these flexible tubes down ever so slightly, probably an inch or so into the tank. And they also, if you squeeze them together, they kind of compress and take up less space. So what we're going to do is, at this level, we're going to push the ends of them in. We're then going to raise the tank up into place and probably put those 2 axle stands under the tank. We can then use the flat bars on the threaded bar and bolt the tank in place. And then the excess pipe that's above the tank will kind of squeeze into place to get out of the way and keep a nice continuous flow in the pipe going down. We're gonna connect the level sender at a later stage when we're doing the electrics.
Now the tank is fitted, it is finally test time. So we're going to run some water through the sink. Hopefully it will get held in the waste tank with no leaks, and then we can empty out the waste tank and we'll have a fully functional waste system. Part 1 of the test. Fill sink with water. Makes me want to go to the toilet. As a big sink. Part 2, buckets under the tank in case it leaks. Part 3, release the water. Part 4, realise there's a leak. Part 5, realise there's a hole in your tank.
A tiny, tiny hole. It's like a pinprick.
You're a pinprick.
We'll be able to fill that, that's no problem.
Step 6, test the tap.
And that is all for this video, so we better go fill that little hole.
Yeah, and while we're doing that, it would mean the world if you liked this video, subscribe to our channel and drop us a comment below, because it keeps us going in these cold winter months.
It really does.
And I guess that's all we've got time for, so
see you next week.
bye!